I think habits are huge. You know, I know in a season of my life where I was hyper performance oriented. Every new year, I would set these huge goals, and I wanted them to be epic and impressive. Well, here's what I figured out. A couple months into pursuing these big, ambitious goals, that oftentimes we're trying to impress people. They weren't really me growing and just being a better version of who I am. I felt shame about the fact that I was trying to impress people. I would get so burned out on how hard I was working to chase these big goals. And then I would just go all the way off the wagon.
A lot of people I know, they feel like they've got to set a goal or a new habit, and they don't give themselves permission to mess up or miss a day or what have you. And I think that's very important because life has to be able to happen. Otherwise, you become too structured and too robotic, and then your kids suffer, your marriage suffers, or whatever, and what you're actually trying to achieve is a good thing.
Yeah. It took a while for me, and I actually work with a coach who's a fitness and nutrition coach, and they're amazing on this stuff, and they help me with my relationship to exercise and food to not beat myself up if I kind of go off the wagon. And it's taken me... Do I eat bread? I don't do well with gluten, but I like bread. It kind of messes with it.
That's what the audience wants to know. That's why I asked.
Here's the thing. What I've gotten most from working with my coach is figure out how to eat in a way that you feel good in the moment and later. You know, and so there's things that make us feel good in the moment, but then you feel like crap later.
Why don't we dedicate the rest of this podcast to our diet and exercise routines?
You know, I mean, they're a good metaphor, right, for transformation. But here's coming back to the way that I used to approach this stuff. Early in the year, I would set these huge goals, and I didn't understand the value of habits. I didn't understand the value of just each day, just do a little better and have some things that if you'll have a morning routine and you'll just start getting up at the same time, like you said, if you'll just have 1 minute per day, what naturally happens is eventually that time, you love the value of it and it grows into now you've got an hour every morning and it's not weird and awkward. It's kind of like how you set your day up for success, you know? And so I've really tried to get away from, this sounds so weird, but I've tried to get away from goals and get more focused on habits and rituals.
I like that.
I think goals are important. You know, like we teach in EntreLeadership, you should have goals.
Of course they are.
But you can get so hyper trying to engineer your whole life and use goals to do it that you just become a robot.
Yep.
And it's not real. It's not how we actually work as humans.
You know what's interesting? So I grew up in a home without a television. I spent 12 years of my childhood with no television in the home. My husband grew up in a home where the TV was on 24/7. If they left the house, they would leave the TV on for the dog. Okay? So what's interesting is I am super comfortable with silence. Like if I'm getting ready in the morning or sometimes when I'm in the car, I actually prefer that. It's a safe, peaceful place for me. He can't stand it. So what I'm saying, and he's working on that, like he recognizes that about himself. So think about your family and how much noise you allow on in the house all the time. If you learn, like if you're one of those homes that has something going all the time, just start turning it off for just during dinner or whatever that means, you know, for you guys. And just start to plant that seed a little bit and see how that changes things. Because we do get addicted to always having noise on around us, and then we're uncomfortable without it.
Yeah, it's really hard to think deep thoughts. As leaders especially, you've got to be thinking about your team. You've got to be, and especially, we'll tie this back to vision in a second, but I don't know how you can really excel with vision if you don't have time where you're thinking about the vision.
You can't.
I mean, if you're just going meeting to meeting and scrolling your feed all the time and you never pause and
you'll really have other people's thoughts and you'll try to replicate those or steal those. And sometimes that's okay, but there is unique vision in your mind that needs to come out, that your team needs, and they know the difference.